to another week of Health Unscripted with Dr. D. I am Dr. Ashley Dwyer, and today we have one of my best friends on the podcast. I'm so excited for our guest this week, Dr. Kasey Jo Orvidas. We're going to talk about all things mindset, growth mindset, fixed mindset, and we're probably going to get a little woo-woo and talk about dating. But first, Kasey Jo, one of my besties, she's her Ph.D. in psychology, is a certified health and fitness coach. So she also coaches clients and has a coaching team, KJO Coaching. Woo! Her expertise is in mindset and health change behavior. She has transformed hundreds of lives and minds in her coaching career while also being published in multiple peer-reviewed scientific journals for her research exploring the relationship between our mindset and our health and fitness behaviors. We're going to get into a little bit of that today. After finding so much success within her online fitness coaching business, she also created an accredited certification program called the Health Mindset Coaching Certification, teaching other coaches how to effectively use the science of mindset and psychology to develop lasting change with their clients. I will say, I personally took this certification back in 2020, and two of my coaches right now are currently enrolled in it. So if you're a coach listening to this podcast, definitely check out HMCC launch in fall, right? Probably around September, August.
Yeah, August. It will be our 9th round, which is crazy because you were in the first round. So we're
Holy cow!
I know. I was like, what? My team members today were asking me, is this 9 or 10? I was like, it's not 10. And they're like, oh, 9 is so
How is it 9?
I know.
Oh my gosh. So for those who don't know, Kasey and I were like friends on the internet. Like I did her certification and we became friends through Instagram somehow and then met in person at an event. Kasey's the type of person also who's like, oh, we're friends on the internet. Do you want to like stay with me in my room in a hotel when we go to this like conference? And I was like, sure.
It's like, why would we each have our own rooms? We've been friends online for a year.
Just obviously so welcoming, such an amazing human being. And then also the main reason I moved to Austin. So if I left South Florida, y'all, and you're listening to this, you can blame Kasey, but
it's entirely my fault.
But now we're both in Austin, and it's even funnier that we literally live almost across the street from each other and we're on Zoom right now doing this.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that. I was like, should we have tried to do this in person since we're like steps away from each other?
We probably should have.
We probably couldn't figure out the tech, to be honest.
No, okay. Before this, it took us 10 minutes just to figure out my microphone was facing the wrong way. So I believe in us, but also for the sake of time.
Not. Yeah.
All right. So let's get into some mindset and behavior, because I absolutely love, and not everyone knows your story from my audience. So if you could like briefly tell everybody how you ended up with like a PhD in psychology to coaching instead of teaching or academia.
Yeah. How far back do we want to take this? I falling in love with health and fitness for myself, and mainly the nutrition side of things and the strength training side of things in college. So before that, I played volleyball a lot. I honestly wasn't even introduced to strength training until, maybe my freshman year of college, maybe the year before that. But either way, I started to fall in love with that at the same time I was pursuing a degree in psychology. But my plans at the time were to go sort of the criminology, forensic psychology route. And kind of as time went on, I started to really recognize how passionate I was about health and fitness, and that was sort of a unique passion. Not everybody was very interested in health and fitness, but everybody's pretty interested in crime to some degree,
especially women.
Exactly. What was the show that we just watched? The Locked Up one, the documentary, like, what was it called? I can't even remember.
Wait, did you watch Baby Reindeer? Did you watch that?
No, I'm talking about the prison show, the documentary.
Oh, Locked Up or something.
Locked Up. Yeah. See, like stuff like that exists, right? So like, I'm not special being interested in that stuff. So I kind of had this moment of, okay, I'm really interested in these things. Maybe that's not the career path I really want to take. I also was interested in being like a prison warden, which you don't make a ton of money to deal with a lot of shit, but you also have the ability to make a lot of change. So that's why I was very interested in it. So long story short, I decided to look at continuing education programs in psychology, but for health and fitness behaviors. So I was mostly interested in trying to better understand why so many people knew they needed to exercise and eat well and take care of themselves and all of the benefits that came with that. And so many people still don't do it, especially because I was sitting here like, oh my God, my entire life is being changed by this stuff. Why are more people not doing it?
Yeah.
And I think we all understand to some degree that psychology plays a pretty big role in that. So I started to poke around at different programs that were out there, PhD programs, master's programs, and I eventually landed on a PhD program at NC State in the mindset lab. So at this point in time, I had no idea that mindset was even a science, and it definitely was not popular on social media like it is today. This
No.
was 2015. So I was like, I don't even really know what this mindset stuff is, but whoever the faculty member that is running this lab, Dr. Jenny Burnett, she's doing research on obesity and like some health behaviors, but she was also doing research a lot of other areas like entrepreneurship, relationships, intelligence, all related to mindset. And so I saw the health and fitness stuff and was like, okay, maybe there's something here. Interviewed with her, absolutely adored her, really loved Raleigh, North Carolina. And there was a really big opportunity for me to kind of spearhead that part of the lab, being mindset and health behavior change focused. So that is where I ended up going. Spent 4.5 years researching growth versus fixed mindset for health behavior change. Very much so fell in love with the science of mindset and the power that is there. And didn't want to stay in academia long term after those 4.5 years, and really thought I would continue to do research in the industry. You know, some of the bigger companies I were looking at, like Apple Health, Weight Watchers, places like that, that had a ton of money to do research, so I wouldn't have to like beg for grant money in the ivory tower for the rest of my life. And kind of got the corporate runaround from said companies and decided to instead take a chance on myself. At this point, I had already been coaching, like nutrition coaching, for a few years, probably 4 years. Basically, when I started my PhD, I started nutrition coaching on the side as a way to make money. So I took a chance on myself, was like, I know I don't want to just coach. Like I'm not going to get a PhD in psychology and just be an online nutrition coach. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I knew I wanted to do more with that degree and knew that I wanted to bring more the behavior change science, the mindset stuff into the coaching world somehow.
Yeah.
And down the line, that's where the health mindset coaching certification was born, so that I can help other coaches better understand the stuff without having to get a PhD themselves. And we do coaching at KJO as well with my staff of coaches. We have a very strong backbone of behavior change and mindset amongst nutrition and fitness, as other coaching companies do. And yeah, I think that's kind of it. I try to make it short.
No, it's a long story. It's kind of like my story. Like, how do we go from pharmacy to like coaching and what are we doing? Right.
Yeah.
Like it'll always be a long thing, but I think it's so cool because you're absolutely right. Like everybody knows what to do and that it's going to better their life, but like, why are we choosing not to do it? Like, where's that mental block? What's that mindset block? And I love the fixed versus growth mindset. And even as a coach who took HMCC, what I'm really good at doing is like being solution oriented. And if people ask a question, I'll tell you what to do, but that's not the right thing to do. Right. I think I saw you post a reel about that this morning and I was like, perfect timing.
Yes. Yeah. That's honestly, when I get asked what are one of the bigger like quote unquote mistakes that coaches make from a behavior change and mindset perspective. And that's one of them. And it's hard to even call it a mistake because coaches really don't know any better. And
Right.
are just really wanting to help. And I think we all do this, and it can happen outside of the coaching space too. Like if you're listening to this and you're not a coach and you're like, this isn't really relevant to me. If you think about parenting your children or being in a relationship with your significant other or hanging out with like friends and family, if any of those people in your life are coming to you with something like difficult that they're working through, they're having a really hard time, maybe they're having a hard time sticking to their own health and fitness stuff, or they are trying to climb the ladder at work and just had like a big setback, or whatever's going on with them, it's really hard to not just immediately try to provide solutions and try to help. Like we want to help. We really want to. And the problem with that is that can actually hinder behavior change in the long run, because if we are constantly just providing our solutions and our ideas of what needs to work, we're not really taking a second to take in what that person actually needs. So in a coaching perspective, like it's a really big problem, because what can end up happening is you come off as just condescending, or that you're not really hearing the person who you are working with. And they may come back to you and say like, I already tried all of those things, or like, those things are going to work for me, or like, I did that in the past and it didn't work, or why would when you're, oh my God, I'm sorry, I was just offering some solutions. Like, I didn't realize what I was doing was wrong. So it can really, really pay to instead ask questions first. And again, this goes for other relationships too, to ask a little bit more like, well, can you tell me a little bit more about like what's going on, or what happened in the past, or what have you tried already, or how can I help you best? Like things like that. And that's where you really should start. So you don't get into those situations of either coming off as like, worst case scenario, the condescending, or like not hearing them, whatever. They feel like you don't care because you are actually asking, you're delivering solutions, or you get caught in this situation where you are having to provide solutions all the time. And I'm pretty sure as coaches, wouldn't you love just like painting this picture for you, that a client comes to you and they're struggling with something, and instead of you having to go back and forth with them for the next 3 months on, here, let's try this, here, let's try this, now let's try this thing, and like it's the whole like spaghetti wall type of situation. But instead they could come to you and say, hey, I'm struggling with this, here's what I've tried before, here's what I'm thinking about trying next, maybe we could do this, but I'd love to get your perspective on it. And now you guys have this collaborative relationship, and that's what can happen if you're not just constantly providing solutions all the time. Like, we're creating clients who are independent and aren't dependent on us all of the time.
Yes, I think that's the key difference, is making clients autonomous and making them, like, empowering them to kind of make their own choices. Because if you're a coach listening to this, it definitely is hard when you have a client who's like, well, I don't know what I can do. I don't know the solutions. That's why I came to you, right? And it's like, okay, well, I don't want to be prescriptive. That's what we call it. Like, just give you a bunch of stuff to do, because inherently, and this is the psychology around it, right? Is people say they want to be told what to do, but nobody actually follows what's being told what to do, right? Instead, we often do the opposite because we don't like being told what to do. So
there's actually a term for it. It's called psychological reactance.
there you
And that's when, we have essentially like some form of authority is telling us what to do, but we don't feel like maybe it's like the right thing for us, or that they don't have all the information to be like telling us what to do, which is 99% of the time the case.
Right.
Like in the back of your mind, you're still probably like, what do they know? And that is going to make you want to rebel. I mean, I think there are probably a lot of people listening, myself included, had very strict parents, and you felt this too. Like, what happened when you were what to do all the time? I'm pretty sure you went the other direction, right? So that happens in those situations too, and people just do it automatically. It's just part of who we are.
I almost like I'm successful out of spite. Like, if someone tells me I can't do something, I'm gonna do it, right? So it's got to work the opposite way.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
I will say, from we'll get into the client thing in a minute, but as a coach who's taken the certification and have my coaches taking it, I think it is super valuable, because we can only help clients to the best of our abilities that we know ourselves too, and we know the correct questions to ask, right? So when we do check-ins, I used to be the coach who like sent out a long voice memo and was like, here's what you're like, great job doing this, here's what we need to work on, this is what we can do. And like, yeah, it makes check-ins go a lot quicker, but I never got to the nitty-gritty of like what the issue was, why we were self-sabotaging maybe a little bit, why we felt stuck. So now we don't even like, we'll send voice memos if we're explaining something, but it's just a lot of back and forth. Okay. This is funny. The text is like, one gnat flew in front of my face, and now I'm like distracted.
These dang fruit flies.
Damn it. So anyway, now we're in a position where I just have back and forth conversation with clients a lot, and you get so much more information. And that has helped me, like you said, in other relationships too, with friendships, dating, which I'm sure we'll get into a little bit. But one thing I really want to submerge into is, if you're a client kind of listening to this, who listens to the podcast, you're not a coach, you're a client, and it's summertime. And what we're seeing a huge surplus of, or just a huge influx of, is like, it's summer, I don't want to do anything, or I'm traveling, I can't, I won't, did it, like the fixed mindset of sticking with your goals when it's summer vacation. So obviously this has to be something that KJO clients go through too, but what do you suggest for clients, how to shift that mindset, or how to think of it in a different way instead of like, I can't?
Yeah, obviously kind of depends on where each person is at, but I think the two most common conversations that we're having around this is, number one, if you feel like, okay, well, summer's just like, it's off. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, no matter what I do, I'm going to mess it up. There's barbecues. Do people still go to barbecues? Is that like a thing? Backyard barbecues?
Not in
Is that
100 degrees in Texas. It's not. No.
Yeah, not here. But people are, traveling more. They're going out to eat more. Like, kids are out of school. So they're like doing more activities. You're going to the zoo, having snow cones, if that's a thing. Um, so a lot of people just like get into this. Yeah, it's the headspace, the mindset that summer is just, it's not happening. I can't follow my goals. So like a lot of people get into this space, springtime, that they want to like look great for summer. And when summer rolls around, it's sort of like all bets are off at that point. So the first thing, and one of the most important, I think, is to just have a discussion around like, where's that perspective coming from? So if you notice that you have a client who is saying this, or maybe this is you saying this, you notice that you're having some of these perspectives, or you're a client saying this to a coach, like, I can't do this, or every summer I'm not able to like stick with my health and fitness goals. Or maybe you're considering hiring a coach and you're like, what's the point? Because summers are always like off the rails anyway. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm not gonna be able to stick to anything over the summer. Like, if you're having any of these thoughts, those are all fixed mindset thoughts. And it's not necessarily an inherently bad thing. Like, what I would really love for you to do is recognize this. So anyone listening might be like, if you're a coach, you're like, oh yeah, I've had clients who are saying that right now. Or you're saying this yourself, you're thinking like, yeah, maybe in the last few weeks, I definitely have made some comments like that to my friends, or have thought about it myself, like, oh, maybe I'm gonna run today. Oh, like, what's the point? Because it's summer and I'm not gonna be able to stick with anything anyway. So having some more, like, just spending some more time with that, around why that is the case. Like, you obviously have had some experiences, some situations, maybe some people in your life who have said something to you that have made you believe that summertime is not the time to follow anything for your health and fitness goals. Like, there's no point to it. It's a fruitless endeavor. Like, where is that coming from? So really spending some more time there, and everyone's going to have a different story around that. And it could be, like, every summer in the past, I have not been able to, but also like, what were you doing every summer in the past? Like, what did that look like? Or was it just like this recurring thing where you're telling yourself that you're not able to do it, and then you don't, obviously, because you're not even trying, because you feel like you're not able to. And then next summer rolls around, you're like, oh, I wasn't able to last summer, even though it's just this weird cyclical, it's all thoughts, nothing else but thoughts. So spending some time trying to figure out and dig up that story and where that all came from and better understand it. Because sometimes that may just be enough, because you may just realize like all of this is just coming from nowhere. Like, this is all just thoughts that I've had. I have no substantial like evidence to support the way that I'm thinking. And that could be enough for you to really think, so it's actually maybe worth trying. Because the problem with a fixed mindset and believing that I can't change, I can't do this, whatever, is if you truly believe that, then it is pointless to try. Because if you don't think you're capable of it, why would you put time and effort into it? Like, duh. Like, you're not going to do it. It doesn't make any sense to.
Yeah.
It's like, if you
oops, sorry, keep going. I was going to say, at the end of the day, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, you're gonna succeed.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So spend some time there. And then you might also uncover that things haven't worked for you in the past and you have truly tried them. You tried the Whole30 last summer, you tried keto the summer before that, like whatever it is. And like, just spending some time with, the methods that maybe you've tried in the past, and recognize that like, so those methods didn't work doesn't mean I can't try to find one that does. Doesn't mean that I'm like, all bets are off regardless of what I try.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's like a really good place to start, is just unpacking your beliefs a little bit more and better understanding them. And in doing so, you will also better understand yourself.
I love it, because yes, it's my favorite part of like changing your mindset and going more into a growth mindset is like, we're solution oriented anyway. That's one of our values, is being solution oriented, but not being prescriptive. Right. So if one thing doesn't work, what can we still do instead? Or like, let's say you're someone listening and you're like, okay, I have found a method that works. I know tracking macros work, but I'm going to be at barbecues, on the boat, maybe, doing different things. And it's just too much to track a lot of food out. I understand where people come from in like that regard, but then what can you do, right? Like, instead of just, I can't do anything, shifting that to, what can I do? So for you, for example, you are just like, very exposed to doing this all the time and being open to growth mindsets. Like when you are going on a trip and you travel a ton, you're going on a boat next week, et cetera. Like what are things in your head that you automatically think of to make sure you're set up to be healthy and stick to your goals on a boat or traveling?
Yeah, that's a good question. And it's actually funny because I feel like I don't have to think as much
Right.
about it anymore. Really good example of where you can get to. Like anyone who's listening right now, just because Ashley and I both have been in the industry for a long time, we've been doing this stuff for ourselves for a long time. We've been teaching other people for a long time. Doesn't mean that you're not capable of getting to where we are. Like we were all exactly where you are currently. It's 110% possible to change this. So when I say, yeah, I don't even really have to think about it, or it's just like it's part of how I live, which is really cool. And I want everyone listening to be like, oh, like that's where I can get to, that travel and like going on a boat and like having all these fun activities, going out and getting like drinks and whatever is not even something that I'm worried about is going to impair my progress. And I'm also dieting right now. Like I am in a calorie deficit and I'm
Same.
still
Woo!
not necessarily right. Exactly. And we're not like, oh my God, we can't go out. We can't go do girls' night, which is what we did last Friday because go to this restaurant. We can't, book these reservations because we're eating in a calorie deficit. It just becomes like, okay, well, how do we work around it? How do we, Tetris that a little bit? And yeah, I don't know. It just becomes kind of like I just do it without thinking about it more. And I think that that's a conversation I've had with clients in the past too. It's like, let's just stop thinking about all of the different things that could happen, where this could go, or the different options or whatever. And it's like, how about a zero options mentality? And it's just, this is what I have to do today. So you do it. And just it can be that simple. And I think our silly human brains try to make everything far more complex than it needs to be. So just taking some time to like really zoom out and think, okay, how do I want to feel? What are the goals that I have for today? And what do I need to do in order to like create that reality? The end, and it can be that simple. And I know I am oversimplifying it. And there's a lot more stuff that like comes into play there, but that's what we're getting: accountability, working with a coach, and like working yourself up to a point where it can be that simple. So I feel like I just talked in circles for like a minute and a half, but it's fine.
I was going to say, no, you made like a lot of amazing points. And I like even watching you and like being able to hang out with you, some of the things, cause I think I had originally somehow asked like, what do you do to stay on track? And you're like, I don't even think about it anymore. It's just life, which is so true. But as an observer of even your life, like I know the type of snacks you're bringing like with you or on board. Like there's always popcorn or fruit. There's always a protein shake either before, after, tons of nutrients and greens. Like if we have a day out, there's definitely sweet green in the future with like a ton of vegetables.
True. That's so true.
Double protein is being ordered, and then like multiple dog walks or trying to make up steps or hitting the gym before we go do something. So it's not like we're doing any of these things for compensatory, like I need to make room for the fun. But it is like, yeah, I'll have one or two drinks and like I'll bring my snacks. I'll make sure I'm still hitting my targets. And this has just become like the way we think. So we ultimately as coaches, we want you guys to get to a place where this is second nature for you guys too. And it becomes your lifestyle. And that has to come with stepping out of I can't do this. This is too hard. Like, that whole pigeonhole that we kind of place ourselves in based on old beliefs. And I say this is summer, but I'm sure you see this around the holiday times too, right? Like it's a holiday. I can't.
I mean, it's 100% of the time. It's, oh, we're going on vacation. Oh, it's my birthday weekend. Oh, like now it's my son's birthday. Now it's my daughter's birthday. There's always a birthday. There's always something. Oh, now I have friends in town, and like, oh, no, I'm doing this. There's always going to be something where you're going to say, I can't stick to my health and fitness goals because like this memories over macros type of BS, which I think you can do both. And I think there are situations
and macros. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. What if you don't have to choose? What if it can't be both? So obviously there are some situations where going over your macros may be like the better option. But I think what's most important is that you actually make a conscious decision about what you're doing in that moment. And I think where guilt and shame and people quote unquote fall off the wagon and then never get back on, or they do like months down the line, comes from those moments of those decision points. So instead of me sitting here going like, if I order another drink, it's going to put me over my macros, but like I really want another one. They were so good and we're going to be here for a while, yada, yada, yada. You're having all of this in your head. Then you order one and then you feel guilty and now you went over your macros, whatever. But you sat there and thought, okay, I'm going to be like 200 calories over. Is that really worth it to me in this moment? Because ultimately I know like that 200 calories, if I'm hitting my macros all the other days of the week, like it's probably not going to make that big of a difference. So do I want to make like the confident decision to do that? And is it going to add to my night in the way that I want it to? If you think that to yourself and you do it, then you're not going to feel guilty. You're not going to feel shamed. Like you're going to get up the next morning and go like, okay, that was worth it. And I made the conscious decision to do that. You could also be in that moment going, it's really not going to add to my night. We're going home in the next couple hours. Like I'm already pretty tipsy. I could probably just get like a Diet Coke and call it good. And then you'll feel really happy with your decision then too, you know? So it really does come down to weighing pros and cons and just like how you actually ultimately want to feel and like what that's going to mean to you, laying out the script in that way. And if you decide to have it, you're good. And if you decide not to have it, then you're also good. So I think that like, that's what it comes down to more often than not.
I feel like, you know, when people, you hear the same thing over and over again, but then someone says it in a different way and it just like the light bulb finally goes off and it clicks. It's not that I struggle with this, but I know other clients do, but the way that you phrased it of like, will this add to my experience? Like, will this or add to it in the way that I want? Right. So it kind of like, that was just like a major aha, even for me, because it's like, okay, yeah, it's a drink or it's a dessert or it's a whatever. Like, will this make me feel like the night was better or will it make me more hungover tomorrow? Right. So it's really just, it's not only even about a pros and cons list. Sometimes it's just about, will this go the way that I truly want it to go? Or is it just a craving? I think that was like super powerful statement. I like that.
Yeah, I think sometimes it is because it's kind of like a facade. Like it feels like, oh, if I have this, like I really, really, really in this moment, like instant gratification, want the dessert, want the extra drink, want whatever. But then really, if you took a second to think about it and you had those things, even just like a few hours later, are you really like, wow, thank God I had like that entire brownie instead of just a bite? Like that definitely made my night better. Like chances are it probably didn't make a difference, especially with things like desserts and stuff. After a few bites, like your palate is kind of already getting like sensitized to it. It's not hitting you the same way anyway. We just keep eating it because it's sitting there. I mean, I do this too sometimes. I'm not saying that like I'm perfect, but yeah, I think just playing it out all the way can really make a big difference.
I have a little personal question for you then, because you are super great in the mindset. Trust me, guys. I use Kasey for therapy sometimes, like for you.
And Ashley's not the only one. I'm like, all my friends, I'll get the text, can you mindset me? It's like, all right, let's go. What do you got?
Mindset me for a second, change my perspective. When it comes to your own mindset about business, anything, it could be anything in your life, where do you feel like you still might struggle a little? Like what area of life do you think like you're still working on your own mindset in?
Yeah, it's a really easy question for me to answer because you deal with it a lot. But you've heard this before too, is actually this is like what I brought up even sitting on, which is annoying because now it's been almost a year that I've been thinking about this. I mean, even prior to that, when we went and had the picnic and we kind of all went in a circle and sat and talked about things with the tarot cards. This was literally last summer at this point.
Like October, November. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So almost, okay. Not even a year. We're going to figure it out before the year mark. But it is something that I sit with a lot. I think sitting with it is part of the process for sure. But it's the desire, this is a business thing, the desire to have like the big business and continue to scale and continue to have like revenue numbers increase and climb and climb and climb, and know that that also means that the impact is climbing. And like what I really see, especially for the health mindset coaching certification specifically, and like the ability to scale that. And I know it's doable and I know it's possible, but there's the other half of my like belief system that scaling and getting bigger and doing all of these things obviously is probably going to present more problems, maybe not more, but new problems, right? And it's going to take more time and energy and effort. And so I battle a lot with this if I have the big business, will I lose my flexibility and time freedom and my life right now? And I know that's not true. Like, I have a lot of people in my life that have showcased, the $4 million businesses, the $10 million businesses, and more. And they probably work less than I do. So I know that that is possible logically because they see it and I have examples of it, which is like, by the way, if you're having a hard time with something with a fixed mindset, find examples, find people that can show you that it's not necessarily true, that it is possible, because that's really going to help you. But so yeah, that's something that I struggle with, like, as I'm like, okay, I want to grow, but also if I grow, what does that mean for like my current lifestyle, and what does that mean? And I'm happy to grind, but I also, like, I really badly want to get to the place of like making more money and working less, which is, I mean, the dream, right? So yeah, that's something that I struggle with from a mindset perspective and do have to continue to work on. And I do think I've gotten better with it, but it's like, I worry because I don't want my ability to succeed and to scale to be thwarted, because I'm worried I'm going to lose my current level of like flexibility and time freedom and what my day-to-day currently looks like. So yeah.
This is so, no, I love, okay, this was great because this, I kind of want to branch into another thing too. And it's funny being here and like, cause before we used to be internet friends. So I would send you voice memos and we'd catch up and stuff that way. Right. But like being in someone's presence and like watching your friends and how they work and how they succeed, like I would never in a million years sit here and be like, Kasey can't do that. Like, I don't see her doing that. Like, I literally see you being like boss ass, doing all the speaking. Like, I see you making it work because I've only ever seen you make it work. Does that make sense? Like, you'll figure out a way. You've hired mentors, guys, coaches hire coaches too, right? Like, I have a business coach and a health coach. She has a business coach and a health coach. Like, we are very much practicing what we preach. And so we get the people in our corner to allow us to see those things and then surround ourselves with friends who are the examples and are more of a positive influence. Like, that was one of my big drivers for moving to Austin, is just being around all of these amazing business owners and entrepreneurs. But I almost have the same worry sometimes about scaling and being a big company, but mine isn't because of my time and flexibility. Mine, I think, is more my personal life and dating. Like, it being even more difficult to find someone to match that or be more.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, about that part too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's just making your dating pool smaller because you would like to have someone who like is excelling even potentially beyond you, or at least meeting you where you're at, which as you continue to scale and to like bring home more bacon, then like the masculine pull that you would like to bring to the relationship would have to do that, if not more, preferably, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So guys, shifting into a little more personal stuff, if you're like a woman listening to this too, like Kasey and I are both single. We're both in Austin. And it's also, we're very masculine in our day to day of like business stuff and doing the thing and being decisive and taking action. But then we don't want to be that way in our relationships, right? So we're learning this like fun new masculine feminine journey. But it is so true that your dating pool becomes a lot smaller. And, I'm mid-30s, you're early 30s. It just like, listen, if we're making millions of dollars, like, cool, maybe I'll be the breadwinner, right? Like, it's fine at that point.
Yeah, you're like, maybe then I don't care.
Yeah, if we're like a 8-figure company, multi-7-figure, like, cool. We're actually getting to like bring that stuff home. Cool. But like where I'm at right now, like, I don't want that pressure to be the breadwinner to like grow and expand. So I do feel for men in that way of being the provider. But do you ever like, are you ever worried about that? Or you're just like, I got it handled?
I mean, yeah, a little bit. I think, and we've like talked about, gosh, I just like, I want to say the right thing so that this doesn't come off like snarky, but we've
But I
talked
love
about
the
like,
snarky.
talked about like, obviously it's really important that you respect your partner. And I think sometimes it can be hard that if we do feel like we're working as hard as we are and we're doing as well as we are and someone else isn't quite meeting us there from like a career perspective, it can feel a little bit see, disrespectful may be the wrong word, but I want to ultimately look up to my partner. Maybe that's the better way to put it. And it's not that I can't look up to someone who's like making less money than me, or is more
Right.
successful, or is less successful than me in their career. Because ultimately, I think really what I would like to see is like, as long as you are really passionate about something you're doing and you're going after it and you're dedicated to it, like that's sexy. So as long as you're doing that, and it really is, that is very clear to me, that I care a lot less about how much money you're making. That's not necessarily, at the end of the day, it wouldn't be the determining factor. Like if this guy's super, he's good looking, he takes really good care of me, he takes the lead in the relationship, he is very clearly the pants wearer in the relationship, which is what's more important, but he's making half as much money than me, but in a career that he's super passionate about, and there is like some flexibility, we can like travel and like do cool shit together, which is important to me, then like that's fine. That would be fine for me. I really do believe that. But doesn't mean it wouldn't be nice to not feel like you are the breadwinner, because I do think it just like there's something that comes with that of being like, well, now I do have to kind of like take care of us, or like more financial burden will fall on you naturally. It's like that's kind of what's fair in that way. Like if you're making 2-3 times your partner, even if you are the female. But I think that does kind of like fudge with the dynamic a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's also me mostly making assumptions at this point because I'm
Well,
clearly very single.
see, we're just kind of, well, I saw it in my own parents' relationship. Like my mom was the breadwinner and the pants wearer. And my dad, unfortunately, though, my dad was not like passionate about what he did or wasn't like driven. So that's where the
Mm,
dynamic shifted. I feel the same way you do, whereas like I've dated a guy who's making $500,000 a year, miserable in his job. So like if you're coming
mm,
home miserable and negative all the time, that's going to not be good either, right? Even though you're making
right.
a ton of money. But then let's say I met a teacher who loved what he did, got super psyched about the subject. Like, that's not really a flexible job, but it's just, I think it does come down to passion and what people are excited about. But either way, you're still going to want someone on the same drive, ambition level. Like the pool just gets smaller if you're more
Right.
successful as a woman. And that could be a fixed belief. However, my
We do
pattern
have
recognition.
evidence. Yeah. No, and I think it may be a fixed belief that like there's not enough guys out there to fit the bill of what we're looking for. Like maybe, right? But at the same time too, like there are legitimate stats of what people are earning, period, and that male or female for that matter. So like we do know that like based on where we're at, like what that means for what is available in that capacity. And again, yeah, like you were saying, it doesn't necessarily always have to come down to like number, like dollar signs. It really is, it's an energy ultimately. Like, and
Yeah.
that's what we're talking about with all of this.
Dang. I don't even like see, this is where we like we're constricted on time, but this is where we also move into like the woo-woo energy portion of what
We
we do.
definitely can still, we can cover some
We can
stuff.
cover a little bit. Guys, by the way, if we are going on dates with people, we are 100% asking them their birthday and running their charts. Like we are those type of girls. So I guess, Kasey, one of my questions to you, because we're both more in the evidence-based, like, I came from the medical field, you have your PhD in psychology. We are the lowercase doctors. That's what we call ourselves. Where did you find, like, what made you woo-woo? Because that's not really evidence-based, right? It's just more spiritual and fun.
God, what made me woo woo? God, I don't know. I mean, you've definitely helped, you and Kaylin.
Sorry. Sorry.
On the astrology side of things, which like I think with all of that, I'm actually the guy that I went on a date with, here we can get like in the moment updates. The guy that I went on a date with on Sunday morning, he has the same birthday as me. Not by a year. Okay, he's a year older, but December 19th, 91, and I'm 92. So we're exactly a year apart. So we're both Sagittariuses, Sagittarii. I don't know.
Sagittarius.
And Ashley is also a Sagittarius, so just a bunch of them around here. But we had like a silly conversation around that. And then when we were talking earlier today, he was asking me like, are you really like an astrology girly? And I was like, I wouldn't like categorize myself as that, but like the stuff is fun. And I go, and your moon and rising sign are like definitely important. He goes, okay, so you are astrology girly.
Yes.
And I was like, but do you know your birth time? And he was like, okay, he's like, do you want, this is actually points for him. He was like, do you want me to give you all of my information so you can run my chart and like, let me know if I'm going to like make the cut? And I was like, sure. So
Please.
I think honestly, like why this, I'm kind of getting off track from the question, but I think it's fun from a dating perspective because it allows you to get to know the person. And not necessarily because I'm saying like, oh, you're a Sagittarius, so now I'm reading your chart and determining what you are. But instead, like I'll be with them on a date, like over drinks. I'm like, okay, well, what's your moon sign? And we look it up and I have him look over it and read it and tell me what he feels like is accurate and what he feels like isn't. And that I feel like can then spark really good conversations, and it has in the past. So I'm like, I will be very forward and say like, I'm not going to like say I'm not going on a second date with you or anything because of this, but I think it could be really fun to like better understand your personality. So someone will read it and be like, oh yeah, I definitely used to be like this in the past, or like I had this experience that actually changed this, but it used to be true, or like, oh, I'm definitely can be pretty stubborn when it comes to X, Y, or Z, you know? So I think it can be really fun in that capacity. And in general, I just see it as fun and not necessarily like a said like hard and fast rule by any means at all. And I think that's where like the evidence-based like Ph.D. mind, like logical brain can kind of like keep me anchored. And I feel like you can say the same thing, Ash. Yeah. And then we just like kind of have fun with this. And like, I don't know, it's really just like more so for fun.
I think it's fun. And I think it, like, speaking of like psychology and personalities, like I think it's another tool for personal development almost to like to know you. Because when people think of astrology, they think of horoscopes and they're like, I can resonate with every horoscope. I'm like, yeah, we're not talking about horoscopes. We're talking about your big three, your big six.
Yeah.
And if you're listening and you're like, I have no fucking clue what that means. We do. Send me your birth time. So it's basically like, you know, the different planets of your emotional like what your subconscious is, how you present to the world. I think it's really funny that both of your astrology friends, like Kaylin and I are Pisces risings. We're both Pisces risings, which I think is interesting because I am a Sagittarius, which means like wanderlust, whatever. But then my moon is Taurus, which is stability and routine to the nines. And then Pisces is just like the daydreamer, like wants to be a mermaid, just doing all the fun, weird, like daydreaming stuff. And I think astrology is part of that fun. So
yeah, true.
So I get really like into it. And I, like you said, I get to learn about the person, but I'm not sitting there like, oh, this says we're not compatible at all. I can't date you.
Yeah, can't date you. Sorry. Yeah. And I think like from like the self-reflection perspective, like that's where I find interest in it too. So it's like, it's really fun to read through what your chart is and what it means. And then you could think to yourself like, oh, how has that shown up in my life? Like, what does that look like? And if there are negative qualities and you are like, shit, I'm getting called out, that sounds like me. It's like, that may be an area of growth for you that you should focus on. So I think it's less about like branding you and categorizing you. And like, also what can become a problem then is people who do lean on it too heavily and say, oh, well, I'm a Scorpio, you know, I'm an asshole. So like, that's the way that it is. I'm not going to give you any emotion. I'm going to be like dark and moody and whatever. And if you just say like, that's just how I am, that's how it is, like that breeds a fixed mindset and also can like keep you stuck. So I think it's how you wield it is the most important factor.
Yeah, it's fun. It's just like pulling tarot is fun. Like we've done a handful of tarot readings together. We have tarot cards. Like I literally put on my Hinge like woo-woo enthusiast with like a crystal ball. So people are like not surprised if I ask for their time of birth, like on the date, like, sorry.
Meanwhile, I have like, the guy that I did see for any period of time in the last year and a half would not give me his birthday because he didn't want me to do the witchcraft, as he says.
He had some red flags. So, yeah.
He's a Leo. That's all we knew.
We don't like him. We also give people nicknames. So like, we won't say his nickname, but nobody gets their first name. Nobody gets anything.
No,
I love this dynamic for everybody. Okay. I do want to kind of wrap up here a little bit and try and like stay, because we could probably go down this rabbit hole a while
So
with dating
forever.
and tarot.
Welcome to our like everyday conversations, guys.
Yeah. Anyone ever wonders what we talk about, like what did Australian guy do, or baby trainer?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. All of the nicknames. That would be so. I'm like trying to think of like, oh wait, Green Bubbles, Wonder Bar.
Gun range
So
guy,
many.
spreadsheets.
Yeah. Spreadsheet.
Okay.
Oh my
You know
God.
what's really
Anyway.
funny is we also do Enneagrams, right? And Kasey, you're a 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 5 is what is it? The researcher or the what?
Yeah, researcher, intellectual, something like that.
Which totally puts like your PhD into place, right? But then I think I went on a date with an Enneagram 5 and I was like, his nickname was Spreadsheets. Like he literally was just so, and I was like, how can one of my best friends be a 5, but like I can't date a 5?
Oh my God, that's so funny. Yeah. And that's next level though. I'm not like making spreadsheets about my sleep schedule. Like that's why I wear an Oura ring. Thank you very much.
Okay, for those listening, the guy didn't even wear a wearable. He just tracked how much he was in bed and like put it on a spreadsheet. Like just get the thing. Like at that point.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Oh my gosh.
Manual labor.
Oh my God. Okay. So kind of one thing that I always ask guests when they're on the podcast to like wrap it up, and it could be with your specialty or not, but just something that you see in the health and fitness space that is super underrated that could like help someone right out the gate change their life. Like what do you think is super underrated? What piece of advice or product or
Super
anything?
underrated.
Mm-hmm.
It can literally be anything.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I mean, the first thing that comes to mind for me is psychology and like spending more time with that. I think a lot of people do grasp for the supplements or exercise regimen or the nutrition method when the reality is how much, if you spent just as much time thinking about like, oh, like what type of program should I follow, which are not unimportant things, like don't get
Right.
that confused. But if you spent just as much time as you do there as you do on like your belief systems and better understanding why you think the way you think about exercise, about body composition, about weight loss, about your ability to do any of those things, you would be far more successful. And I feel like it is underrated because people hear that and they get it, but then they don't do anything about it. They're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like I hear you. Like, yeah, like obviously like how I think leads to how I behave, but that's pretty much the extent of it. When the reality is there are like evidence-based practices and ways to go about working with your mindset and working with your beliefs and your thought processes that can actually make those exercise and nutrition things far more sustainable and likely something that you actually do stick with long term. So yeah.
I love it. And obviously I kind of knew what you were going to say, but from anyone who's like a client or a coach, or even like a lot of clients listen to this, like my clients, you guys already know when you go into a program, or if you're not a client, like we could give you a meal plan. We could give you an exercise plan. We can give you all the things that you're looking for to get you the results, right? But are you going to keep those results when we're done working together? And if we're not working on your habits, if we're not working on how you reframe food, events, like your mindset around what you can do, it won't stick, which is why, yes, we're a health and fitness team, but like it starts in the brain first, and we have to get you to have these conversations with us. So if you're like not wanting to provide feedback or not really wanting to dive in, we're a little strapped on like what we're able to help with, right? Like it can be a little frustrating, but Case, this is awesome. We should have done this together, but it's okay. I'll see you on a dog walk probably.
I know. We'll see you in 10 minutes.
Amazing. All right. Thank you so much for being on the show. I will see you later. And if anyone wants, where can people find you? Duh. Where, if everyone wants to slide in your DMs, ask you a question, apply for your cert, where do they find you?
Yeah, most of you, if you follow Ashley, have probably seen me on her stories every other day for the last like year. But I'm Coach Kasey Jo on Instagram, and that's mainly where I hang out. You'll find me on other social media platforms, but just like not as much. So you can hang out with me there. I also have tons of free resources and things that you can download. If you are interested in the health mindset coaching certification, you can find more information there. But yeah, that's pretty much where I would start.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. And everyone else, we'll see you guys next week. Ciao.